speaking with Milo Yiannopoulos. Have I said your name once properly?
You've said it properly every time.
Oh, have I? Okay,
very
gotcha.
Impressive. No, nobody gets it right.
All right. Well, I'm glad to be the first. Yeah. And he's in the process right now of writing a book on what is called Gamergate, which is essentially, and I keep coming back to the way you synopsized it, is the gender war and the way that it is now coming to the gamer world. And you can follow him on Twitter. At Nero is probably the best way to get a hold of all of your writing. Would that be right, Milo?
Sure, yes. You're very welcome to come and check me out on Twitter. I talk a lot, so you might want to follow me and deep in and out, because I talk a lot. So, but you're very welcome to come and say hello.
on Twitter, you won't have this ridiculous accent that I can barely understand, Milo. I'm teasing
please,
you. I'm teasing
Canadian,
you.
Good heavens.
Milo,
you say you're from London, and you say you're speaking with that accent.
We were the original London. We haven't even heard of that other one yet.
What short memories you North Americans have.
That's exactly right. I want to leave it on one question. And it was a question that I posed to Brianna as well, that the gaming world does seem to have a built-in misogynistic, and I'm prepared to accept the argument that it is because it is just so one-sided right now. Is the culture able to change? And I think that that's where most female gamers want it to go, is will I be able to play nice in the sandbox with the other guys? I like gaming. Gaming, for the most part, it can be a nice community, a friendly community. Is it ever going to change?
Well, it's a bit of a leading question, isn't it? I mean, it's a bit of a have you stopped beating your wife kind of a question. You're suggesting to me that there is a misogynistic problem in the environment, and is it going to get better?
Well, no, excuse me. Sorry, I just want to clarify. Milo, I just want to clarify the question.
Take it for granted that was the case.
I just want to clarify the question, Milo, if I could. I wasn't suggesting by any when I said not alluding to misogynistic. What I meant was that it is just so one-sided, male-dominated by way of there are just so many more men than women that more male culture is involved than women culture.
Okay, well, that's quite a different thing from misogyny.
Right. Yes,
of course, there's hatred and mistreatment of women, which I don't see very much of. It is certainly true that it is overwhelmingly male-dominated. The assumption that a lot of what the gamers call social justice warriors, the feminists and the bloggers, the assumption that these social justice warriors have is that this is somehow a problem, that this is intrinsically something that ought to be fixed. Now, I'm not sure that I find their arguments particularly persuasive. There are things that appeal to men, and there are things that appeal to women. We've learned in the West, for example, that as equality gets better and women have more education and more choices, their career choices actually start to narrow. This is used as proof that there's entrenched misogyny in the sciences and physics and all this kind of stuff. Really, it's just when women have a completely open set of choices from which to select what they want to do in their work life and what they want to do in their home life, they tend to make stubbornly narrow choices that the feminists don't really understand. And the fact of the matter is that the games that involve a lot of sexualized and more violent content don't necessarily appeal to women. These are the sorts of games we're talking about, these very immersive, the big blockbuster expensive games the hardcore gamers love so much. They are very male-dominated environments, but doesn't make them misogynistic environments. And I sort of reject the premise that that is intrinsically somehow problematic, that there is something wrong with the fact that these games appeal predominantly to men. I don't think that there is a problem with that. I also wonder, I mean, it certainly hasn't been my experience going into this community, which is so often characterized as a hostile, bigoted, misogynistic kind of cesspit. Going in there as a gay man, I've been totally welcomed. I've enjoyed nothing but support and friendliness and upbeat, fun atmospheres in the forums and message boards that are sort of associated with gamer culture. I've seen exactly the same thing. I don't think gamers have a problem with women. They just have a problem with a couple of women, not because they're women, but because they say ridiculous things. And when, if you don't want to be called out as a ridiculous person, then, don't make ridiculous critiques of video games that don't have any basis in fact. And that's what some of these feminist campaigners are doing. It's what some of the journalists are doing. And gamers don't like these people, not because they're women, but because they don't like these people. They don't like what they critique. They don't think they have any value. They don't think they shine a useful light on what's happening in video games. And they reject the assumption that just because an art form predominantly attracts men, that there is automatically a problem there.
Milo, very, very excellent points all made. Thank you so much for this. Appreciate the time. I'll let you get back to what is now nighttime in England. Thank you so much for this.
It is. I'm heading off for supper. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, Milo, I really appreciate it. Again, Milo Yiannopoulos is under the CJB, under the Twitter handle at Nero. And Nick and I were talking about this and just how to handle this. Is this a situation of a casual gamer like myself looking and watching video game dialogue and being struck back just because that culture is different? Is this something that is actually a sexist area, or is this, as Milo was insinuating, that gamers like video games? They don't want to analyze it from is this sexist? Are you creating misogynistic atmosphere? They don't want to analyze it from that. And as much as there is a blurry line that separates all of those different arguments, they are very separate arguments. Just because I don't like a feminist critique of a particular thing does not mean I am an awful person that wants something to fall on a woman, harm to fall on somebody. And that sounds to me like the crux of the argument in all of this. We did get a phone call in. Gwyneth wants to weigh in, 519-643-1290. Gwyneth, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not a gamer. I don't, but I think there are people that just want to find something to criticize. And I'm talking about these feminists, that they look for just anything. I'm at times it makes me ashamed to be a woman.
Well,
trust me, in a time when a lot of men are getting bad press, I can empathize with that feeling.
Like I've got an article in the paper today. Like it goes on and on and on. I mean, they complain about everything, and it got here. This is in front of my paper today. BC man allowed to sue after false rape claim. This type of thing, like men are treated very shabbily. I'm sure there's some very nasty men, but there's a whole lot of very nasty women too, and and we don't hear about that. And I mean, I've known them, and but they maybe this is the wrong thing to say, but as a woman, I can say it. But I think that's a quote from Barbara Streisand. She did lay out what feminists were in her book, and she said they're unhappily married, they can't find a guy, or they're lesbian. And I honestly believe that. Because I've never met any that are happy. They're so critical, and like in today's society with men, a woman, men are treated very, very badly. They could maybe have a bad marriage and something's not right. A woman can beat herself up, get on the phone, call the police, and they come back down and they throw the guy in jail. Yeah. And to me, this is not right.
Thank you for the call, Gwyneth. I appreciate that. And as always, you can text us 10-1290, call in 519-643-1290, and email al@cjbk.com, on Twitter @cjbk. We're not by any stretch of the imagination. I don't want to even venture into that realm of assuming what Brianna Wu told us yesterday about death threats, threats of rape, or anything like that is made up. I'm not even going into that realm. But I really do think that there can be an argument made on behalf of a gamer to say the angle of which you took the review of this game, or the angle of which you are looking at an analysis of this particular area, is incorrect. A note coming in here from @SkepticRogue. It's not that gamers don't want feminist critique of games. It's that the specific critics we disagree with are radical. So, and I'm going to assume you have far more experience with this than I do, and that seems to be what Milo was saying as well.
CJBK.com has local news and a whole lot more. Get inside the minds of your favorite Newstalk personalities. Read the latest blogs. See behind-the-scenes pictures and video. Download podcasts or listen online. Community event listings. And join the Newstalk 1290 team to get special information sent right to your inbox. Bookmark us and keep coming back. CJBK.com.